What is your earliest memory, Adam, of the type of OCD that you have, or that would grip your life?
It was my only memory from the age of 5. I had no other thoughts other than these severe, what I now know to be mental health problems, but they took over my life. It was almost mental torture.
At 5 years old?
Oh yeah, the earliest memories, absolutely. Right. From being in school. Initially it was attachment issues with my parents. My parents would drop me off at school. And I felt I had an obligation or a responsibility to protect my parents, that they wouldn't get knocked over on the way back from school. So you start to invent, it felt natural to invent rituals, compulsions, which we know as OCD, to alleviate the anxiety. But of course, anxiety is a very disloyal friend when it comes to OCD. Reassurance of anxiety is a very disloyal friend when it comes to dealing with OCD, because it's like a drug. You need to have more reassurance to make yourself feel better.
So when you say you develop little rituals, you're 5 years old and you were worried about your parents could get killed or knocked over. So what kind of rituals were you conjuring up?
Oh, I mean, at the time they feel very rational. Because, you know, as humans, when we're scared and we have anxiety, we want to find a way to alleviate that anxiety. So I would find something that just would make me feel better, whether it was touching the light switches, whether it was looking under my bed, anything that would alleviate this awful stress, this internal.
Didn't you have something with clouds?
Torture.
You used to have to have certain formations.
Yeah, I mean, those were the early days. So in order to protect my family, I felt that, you know, if I saw a cloud in the sky, I'd have to make sure that my friends had seen the cloud as well. It was bizarre, but to OCD sufferers, it feels very. We know it's not rational, but
do you have to go through any sort of ritual coming into the studio today? Is there no anxiety for that?
No.
But doctor, from your point of view, you see, we're listening to this. This is extreme. This is scary, and this developed, and his little rituals that he had eventually didn't work anymore. Right? They wore off for him. But for the rest of us, OCD is lining your soup cans up in a row or making sure everything in your pencil box is absolutely perfect. Have you heard of this before?
Yes, I have. It is a severe form of OCD that he suffered with, but I think it's a condition that everybody can relate to in some way. Like you said, having the cans all turned the same way, or even not walking under a ladder or saluting if we see a magpie. We can all relate to it, but it becomes OCD when it's at the point that it's affecting somebody's quality of life, and it becomes a medical condition when either there are physical implications of that, so for example washing your hands so much that you give yourself dermatitis, or avoiding medical situations because of the fear of...
But Adam, how does that lead to thoughts of murder? That is some leap.
It's really important to stipulate that anybody with severe OCD, they are never going to carry out these actions. No one ever does. It's a worry problem. But at the time, you don't know it's a worry problem. And my thoughts started from, like I said, when I was young, attachment issues, but they grew into something far more sinister as I got older, because it attaches to something that we're very vulnerable about and that we care about.
So your wife, Alyssa, you did tell her eventually, because you kind of kept this to yourself, these thoughts.
Yeah.
So how did this present itself, though, Adam? You know, would you be in the house and suddenly think, I just feel like I want to put my hands around her neck, or
no, I mean,
push her out down the stairs? What do you mean you want to kill her?
Everybody has thoughts. Everybody has thoughts. The difference being with OCD is you think those thoughts are very, very real and that you're going to carry those out. So I would avoid what I call the triggers. So the triggers to stop these thoughts from happening. So my problem was, or my issue was, that I thought I was going to harm vulnerable people, or the people closest to me. Maybe my children, maybe my wife, maybe my grandparents. So I would avoid knives. I got to the point where I used to walk around with handcuffs in my pocket, because if I felt I was going to have an urge to strangle somebody, at least I could shout someone to put handcuffs on me.
And you carried those around?
Oh yeah, for like 4 years, from like 15.
Did your wife ever worry? Because once you told her about this, and she's been very supportive and helped you get the help you needed, was she ever worried about you being around the children? As much as she loves you and she understands that everyone says you won't carry this out, did she ever worry that you might? She
was very understanding. She was incredible. I mean, once she understood what I was suffering from, she did a lot of research herself, and she soon came to know that people with OCD are not a danger at all. Yeah. They're actually some of the most caring people.
But Zoe, there are a number of things under the umbrella of what Adam is talking about, and he has a foundation, and he has this book called Pulling the Trigger: OCD, Anxiety, Panic Attacks and Related Depression. So under this umbrella, you're talking about anxiety, you're talking about depression, you're talking about panic attacks. as well. So there is some sort of connection, or there can be, with all of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the symptoms of OCD actually can lead to the anxiety that Adam spoke about and can lead to depression. I think one of the things to pick up on that Adam said that is really important is there is a distinct difference between OCD and psychosis and conditions like schizophrenia.
Yes.
In OCD, it isn't that you're hearing voices, there are no hallucinations, they are just thoughts that are coming up in your mind, and as Adam said, people don't carry out harmful
But Adam, what are you
acts.
hoping to do with your foundation and with your book? You're a successful businessman. You know, in spite of what you've been through, you know, you've coped, you've made a success of yourself, you've held your family life together and whatever. What are you trying to pass on to other people?
Well, it got to the point where I wanted to give something back. I felt like I had to have a purpose after I sold my company. And the only way I could do that was to set up my foundation, Assure My Foundation, which is a global charity. And we want to help people. And we don't want to be just a charity that talks, we want to make things happen. I mean, one of the things that we've just launched last week was the petition to make mental health education compulsory in all UK schools. It's absolutely fundamental. I can't believe it's not in place in the first place. If reading, writing is in place, biology is in place, physical education, why is mental health education not?
But you see, the very